all the screenings we go, it's fully packed. So that's, combine the experience of discovery to an audience who's very attentive. And I think it's also a privilege to see the film with such a big audience. Like being a very comfortable bubble with extremely intelligent people coming from different sides of the industry and the film world and the creative world. And it feels like being with a family where you can, we agree to disagree. And so it's very intense in terms, and the fact that we have all those days together allow also for arguments to develop over time. And the point of view of each really sinks in and kind of broadens the experience of your own judgment. We're very quick at deciding we like, we don't like, but the argumentation and the, or lack of argumentation, or the point of view on films coming because of a background is fascinating, and it's pure enjoyment, and we have as much joy as watching the film as debating the film. So yeah, it's fantastic. I'm not addicted to a fast yes or no. You just have to live with it. That's what it is. And I think that's part of a job of a producer, is to be able to move on from negative reaction. I think Locarno is a discovery festival. Theirs to take films that could not be so popular or would be a very demanding storytelling or cinematographic experience. And for A-list festival, I think it's a very daring, actually, and it's very refreshing. There are voices in Locarno you probably would not hear anywhere else, and you see the voice grow and do eventually reach a wider audience. And also the fact that, all the screenings we go, it's fully packed. So that's, combine the experience of discovery to an audience who's very attentive, and I think it's also a privilege to see the film with such a big audience that are very respectful on the films, and that are present for every single screening. It's very hard to speak to a European producer and not to speak about co-production, because historically, very fast after World War II came the laws and the regulation in Europe to work together. And co-production was one of the ways to get people to know each other better. So what you see mainly in Europe is a lot of regional, which I think the most common co-production, and I think they're the most natural co-production. It's a way to know your neighbors. It's a way to know the people across a border. It's a way also to realize that we are going through the same thing with different language, color, taste, and joy, sadness. It's an essential part of knowing your neighbor, co-production. And it allows a film to not especially circulate more, but at least it starts with the industry, it starts with the storytelling, and then it moves on to, the technicians on set, the location you find, and then it moves on to a public and an audience. There's no generalization in production. We kind of feel production is like the least creative, the least involved, the least kind of interesting part of, but production is much more complex than just production. And I'm not trying to revendicate anything here. I know what I do, so production is creative. And I think every producer has his own reason for producing. You could be producing film A for one reason, because you love the director, or you love the content, or you love the actor, or you love the location. But you can also do the same year film B where you only want the money, because it's business. It's entrepreneurship. You can look at Complacent Film in Germany, you can look at Element Picture in Ireland, the Dardenne brothers producer. There are so many directors that are comfortable because they know each other so well, and producers are comfortable with the director and they're growing with them and they never leave, which is amazing. I have a director I've developed from short film to third film. She decided to go and see somewhere else, and I do understand it. There's also could be a fatigue, and saying, maybe the grass is a little greener, or you know, and maybe, and I think we spoke a lot about it, and I came and say, I think we know each other too well. So the challenge is in a different place. So that's good, but you have to let go. You have to let go. It's like relationship. There's no force. You can't love someone if you don't want to love that person. And here we're not talking, we're talking about love as well. We're talking about, why would you want to work with someone who doesn't want to be there? Even if you learn on very specific term why an audience didn't buy the film, why the critics were so negative, why it wasn't selected in a festival, why it couldn't sell, it's good knowledge and gathering, but it's for the film. It's not for any other, because it's one-off. I'm not going to do another one of the flop one with like all the information I received afterwards, after the facts, to go back to it. So yeah, and sometimes you realize that the intuition you had from the beginning were right. And sometimes it's also, I mean, it happened in not a lot, but a few films where the timing wasn't right for the film. And we didn't recognize that. And I think that's the producer also, other hats, is this kind of intuitive understanding of where the market is, where the heart of an audience is. And sometimes you're just too early. Not too long ago, I had that with a TV show we ended up not doing, because when we came to the market, it was during COVID, and it was a dystopian TV show. And it was a world where the extreme right was taking over. So we didn't invent anything, we just created a world where AI allowed, AI in 2020, you didn't know what AI was, right? Or very vaguely, would kind of take the ideology and create people very close to the Nazi movement, and they would get into the governments. And so the resistance coming from the street would have to fight that. It was much funnier than what I'm telling you. But everybody was like, but this is totally dystopian, you know, AI and extreme right and all that. And today, if we were to do it, it would be old-fashioned already.